Hello, my sisters. How are you? Doesn't it seem like a really long time since we've seen each other? It seems like forever. I hope and trust that you had a beautiful Christmas, beautiful Yule, beautiful Hanukkah, all the things, whatever you were celebrating. I hope it was beautiful. Now here we are. Getting ready to welcome a new year. So it's a very exciting time. And so we're doing a couple of things together. Can you guys see me okay? I see you chit-chatting in the feed, and I'm so happy to see you. I just want to make sure you can see me. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, good. So you guys can see me. So tonight what we're doing is a little bit of a mix because we've had some scheduling challenges. I'm so happy to see you guys. I will tell you, I just got news that my mom has been taken to the hospital in an ambulance. So I do have to finish right at 6 p.m. so I can go to her. It's a little bit unfortunate, but if you know me well, you know my mom has had health challenges for years now. So we're just sort of riding that wave, but we got to have a beautiful holiday with her. So that was really, really special. So I'm counting my blessings for that and just hoping she's gonna be okay. Okay, so tonight we're doing a little mix of Gemwise and Herbwise with Intention Box. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Thank you for the prayers. I believe in the power of prayer. My poor mama has been through a lot. That's why I'm always saying don't smoke. Her COPD has been very difficult for her. Okay, so we're going to do Intention Box tonight. And I'm going to, everybody kept asking, what's the supply list? What do we use to make that? And so what I told everybody is just watch me tonight because I have a little bit of a process. I'm going to show you that process. And then go and grab everything you want to use to make and make your own. I will tell you, this is the last big sale at Sage Goddess for quite a while. We're not doing 20% off in the near future for as far into the future as I can see. It's code cheer. So if there is anything you wanted to put in your intention box, anything else you wanted to pick up before the end of the year, this is kind of the time to do it. 20% is a big deal for us. And so I'm going to talk to you about a few tools tonight. If you have everything you need, that's great. I just want to make sure you knew that there was 20% going on because 20% is better even than your sabbatical or pentacle discount. It's as good as it gets at SG. Thank you again for the prayers. I really, really, really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to start with Herbwise and Gemwise, and then I'm going to make sure I have my stones. Then I'm going to do the sacred box. There is a dedication prayer for your box that I'm going to read tonight, and I will make sure that you have this in the classroom. Okay, and I'll put it in the Facebook group too. And I want you to personalize this. So I love what I wrote. It's what I say when I'm dedicating any kind of intention box or sacred box, box of the year. But I want you to personalize it and make it your own and come up with, your own language for whatever feels right to say when you're dedicating your sacred box. I'm trying to remember when code cheer expires. Is it tonight? I honestly can't remember. I think the code is still valid tomorrow. Let me double check for you after I get off line with you tonight, and I'll let you know if it's expiring tonight. I think it's still good tomorrow. I don't think it's good beyond that, as far as I remember. So anyway, this is a really good chance. Okay. What was the other thing I want to tell you? Oh, I want you to know that the Tucson insider listing is going live on January 1st, and we're limiting the number this year. So if you want me to shop for you in Tucson, you want to do that on January 1st or January 2nd and plan for that. Because we have more people now who want us to do that, but it's really, really hard shopping like that for very many people. So we are not doing more this year than we did last year, but there are more people who want that. So on the 1st or 2nd, if you're planning to do the Tucson Insider, I would do it early. Plus we're gifting the first, I think, 100 people who purchase. We're doing an extra gift for them too, which is special. Okay, so I'm going to smudge, especially since I just got some challenging news. And I recommend that you smudge as well. What's really nice, though, I have to say, aside from the news I just got about my mom, the energy is beautiful right now. Have you noticed? There's something about this in-between period. I remember talking to, I think it was Lisa Machado. Lisa Chapman, if you're asking about the Tucson Insider, we're putting stock in on the 1st. So right now what it is a wait list so that you don't miss it. So you can join that, and then on the 1st, you'll be able to do your Insider. We just haven't launched it yet. It's going live on January 1st. But there is a beautiful energy. What I was saying is I remember having a conversation with Lisa Machado about this last year. There's something about this time, even if you're not, Christian or Jewish or pagan or anyone with any kind of holiday right now, there's something sacred about the fact that so many of us see this as a holy time. And there's something sacred about the fact that this has been a holy week for millennia. I mean, this is a very important time. And one of the ways I like to describe this time is it's outside of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is even for people who are not religious at all, but they have time off from work. There's like this quiet period. It's cold outside. People are not, it's not as much hustle and bustle right now because Christmas is over. There's a slowness and almost like one of my favorite words is mellifluous, because the root word is meli from Greek, which means honey. There's like a mellifluousness to the time right now. It's syrupy and a little slow, and people don't expect too much from you right now because they know you're on holiday, and it's not quite New Year, not quite Christmas. And so I'm hoping you're feeling it too. It's really, really, really beautiful, and you should take advantage of it, because inside of 2 weeks we're going to be in the new year and intentions and all this stuff, and it's going to get busy again. Yeah, Haley says there's beautiful energy, but I can't tap into it, just view it from the outside looking in. Well, one of the things, Haley, you might think about, because there are always things that are going to pull you out of your peace. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's life events or family situations or whatever, there are always things that are going to pull you out of your peace. So one of the things I do before I go to bed, especially if I have a lot on my mind, is I ask my guides to come and to bring me the peace that only my Creator can offer. There is a peace that comes from your spiritual practice, from connecting with God, however you define that, that can come into you. That can come into your space. But it's very interesting. When I was little, my grandmother was a minister. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. But and grief is one of the hardest things. Grief steals joy and peace, unlike anything else, right? But my grandmother was a minister, and she said, there is this peace, but you have to ask for it. It doesn't just come unbidden to you. You have to ask for that peace. You have to say, I'm calling in a peace that transcends any worldly peace. I'm calling in a peace that is between me and my Creator. And I ask that that peace just be sent to me, that it envelop me, that it surround me in my space, that it come to everyone I know and love. You really can call in that peace. You know what I mean? It's very special. So you might try that. Especially if you're struggling right now, just say, you know what, guides, God, I surrender. And I ask that you bring me a peace that transcends all mortal peace. Amen. So it is, right? Yeah, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. So I send my love to you tonight and always, but especially tonight. Okay, so let's talk about Kuan Yin and Buddha. I'm going to light my Kuan Yin candle while I talk about Kuan Yin. It's really daunting to come up with the herbs and oils for these two beings, these two ascended masters, in a way that would really do them justice. You know what I mean? Like, they're such powerful energies and such powerful beings that it was really difficult to say, okay, so what are some tools that would really do justice to who they are and what they represent? So for Kuan Yin, probably the most special thing that's in Kuan Yin is lotus essential oil, which is very rare, very precious. And that's a lot of what you smell, that first hit. There is also freesia in this particular blend, and then there's frangipani or plumeria. And I want you to, these are all very delicate flowers, by the way. Freesia is incredibly delicate. Frangipani, plumeria is very delicate, and lotus is very delicate. And I kind of love that, because as strong as Kuan Yin is, the flowers that are sacred to her are very, very delicate, like fall apart if you look at them the wrong way, right? Like delicate leaves and beautiful light fragrances, and they're just very beautiful and very sacred. I love watching you guys in the feed just love on each other. I love you guys too. I have to stay focused and keep talking to you about the thing, but I want you to know I see you. And Lee, we obviously, so many of you have had challenging times in the last couple of weeks. I just want you to know how loved you are by all of us, truly. We have wrapped our arms around you in a powerful way, and we'll continue to do so because we are here, and that's what we're here for, is to love each other. I truly believe that. Okay, so what do these different oils and essential oils represent? Yeah, you know, Haley, my recommendation is you can do the full moon rituals anytime. I like to tell people do it after the new moon, before the next full moon. Do it during a waxing phase. You don't want to do a whole lot of magic during the waning phase. You know what I mean? It's not, the waning phase is really for releasing, banishing, which I don't recommend, but if you want to do banishing magic, that's the time to do that, is the waning phase. But I recommend doing any full moon ritual or any ritual for attraction or intention or healing or anything. I recommend doing that during the waxing phase. Which is any time after the night of the new moon. As soon as the moon begins to wax, all the way to the night of the full moon is a good time to do it. Yes, very delicate flowers, indeed, indeed, indeed. So plumeria represents, as you know, plumeria represents the ancestors. Here's a fun story about plumeria, and I love this story so much because I love Hawaii. If you guys have been with me for a while, you know that I got married there. It's one of the most sacred places to me in the world. And so, do you know what they do in Hawaii when someone passes away? They take a cutting off of the plumeria tree. So if you've seen plumeria trees grow, they grow like this. So it just branches in all directions. And then the branches grow with the leaves, and they shoot up these stalks of really tiny, delicate, very pungently scented, gorgeously scented flowers. But it takes pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds, thousands of pounds of petals from the frangipani flowers to make even just an ounce of the essential oil. It's crazy how expensive it is. And in a way, kind of sad too. You know, some of these, like jasmine is the same way, where it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to make an ounce. And it's such a delicate flower and so rare in many ways. Like in some ways, I don't even like to use the essential oil because I feel like I'm depleting so many beautiful flowers. Although they drop off of the trees. Jamie's Hawaiian, so she can test all of this. They drop off the trees, and so a lot of times they'll distill from the freshly fallen flowers rather than picking them from the trees, which I love. Because plumeria blossoms smell different when they're so ready to fall off the tree. They're stronger. When they first bloom, they don't have the intensity of fragrance. So you really, there's a whole life cycle to frangipani, to the plumeria, that has to be observed in order to create the most beautiful and most fragrant essential oil from them. Okay, so when someone passes away, they have these huge, beautiful plumeria trees with all these branches. They go and they cut one of the little branches off like this. And when you cut plumeria, it's just an even cut across the branch. And then they stick it on top of wherever the body has been buried, and it sends up a beautiful plumeria tree to grow wherever that person was buried. And the reason is that frangipani represents the ancestors and immortality. So it's thought that when we plant a plumeria tree where there's someone who's just passed away, it grants them eternal life. And it also helps us to connect with them more deeply. Isn't that pretty? I love all the colors. So in my backyard, I think I probably have 10 or a dozen plumeria trees. In fact, Nietzsche from our group donated one to me from her yard, which I treasure so much. It's one of my main ones that I adore. But I really love them. I love them in the intense colors, like the pinks and the reds, and that's a lot of, they also have the strongest fragrance, so they often are the ones that are also in the essential oils. So that's plumeria. Freesia represents trust. Beautiful, delicate flower, very different meaning. Plumeria is your ancestors and immortality. Freesia is trust, and trusting that you are held, that you are cared for, that you are protected. So I thought that was a really beautiful combination. And then lotus, here's what's interesting. So to the Egyptians, the lotus flower represented immortality too. So I thought there was a really interesting kind of connection or overlap between the lotus and the frangipani. To the to Buddhists, you guys know what the lotus represents? You probably do. What does the lotus flower represent in the Buddhist tradition? A little pop quiz time. Yeah, you know what? You should actually. Haley, I wonder if plumeria would grow nicely where you are, because wouldn't that be a beautiful tree to grow where Arya is, you know, to represent her, because it's so beautiful and so tender and so delicate in many ways, like her essence and her energy. Very close. So those are good guesses. It represents enlightenment. The lotus represents enlightenment. That's exactly right, Cindy. And so all of these things, and if you think about it, like, what is enlightenment? Enlightenment is peace plus trust plus wisdom that you gain from your ancestors and from your own life path. It's almost like all the other flowers equal the lotus in some ways, but that is the reason why I chose that particular combination. I thought it was beautiful, those three together. And the stones, let's talk about the stones for a minute. So jade, this is nephrite, jade, gorgeous nephrite. I have runes on my hand, so in case you see my hand, it's not dirty. I wanted to talk about runes tonight, so I wrote them on my hand. This is nephrite jade. This one has a little thing on the front, which I liked. It almost looks like an eye. I love stones that have like doors or eyes on them. Isn't that cool? Something about that intrigues me. So jade is sacred to Kuan Yin just because regionally where it's from. I mean, jade is you find an abundant supply of jade in the Far East, but it's also a stone of endurance and strength, and that's in many ways what she is. As much as she's a delicate goddess who represents mercy and compassion, she also has this fortitude to her. You know, it's like a strength and a hardiness to Kuan Yin, and I think that's why we both respond to her as mother in many ways, because she's so much, at least to me, kind of a counterpart to Mary, right? But then on the other side, we also find strength with her. I do anyway. I find that she strengthens me a lot. Oh, thank you. Pam's cooking dinner, which I love that. I know. I'm like, I'll be right over, Pam. I had a really crappy lunch, so that sure would be nice to have some home-cooked dinner out of the oven right now. Oh, it's so funny. I'm always saying, I need a wife. No joke. If anybody wants to come here and be my wife, I would love to have you come be my wife. Although I'm a little demanding, so that might be a little challenging, but I need a wife really bad. Okay, and then green rutilated quartz is the other stone that you have here. Not a good shot with my camera, kind of, but you see that bar of rutile in there? It's green for sure. Sometimes they call this Christmas quartz, which you can probably see why, because sometimes the green has a little red in it. I don't call it Christmas quartz, but you'll hear it called that sometimes. This is from Brazil, the green rutile. And did you know, so it's funny because there's different, I was reading a couple of different books when I was preparing this session for you. One of my books says that the rarest color of rutile is the silver, and the angel hair rutile or the Venus hair rutile, which I've always thought that was the rarest color. Another one of the books I work with, though, says that the green is the rarest color. So it's either green or silver. Mary says she'll be my wife. I love you guys. I need one, I'm telling you. Even Dave agrees I need a wife. Cue siren. Wouldn't it be nice? Lynn says it would be nice if we could all be together now. It'd be really nice. I would love that. That's a dream I hold in my heart for one day, that we'll all get to hang out and spend time together. Okay, so the green rutile. So here's what I can tell you. The legend around rutilated quartz, if you've heard me say this a million times, just close your ears for a second because other people have not heard me say it. The legend of rutilated quartz is that it all represents transformation. And so when you get your piece, what you're supposed to do is gaze into it, close your eyes, kind of let your vision go blurry, like really drop down into a meditative state, and ask to be shown what the lines say. And so what they say is, if you have a piece with a ton of rutile in it, it means there's a lot that the guides and the gods and the ascended masters are trying to tell you. And if you have a piece that doesn't have much in it, it means there's not much for you to know right now. I don't know if I totally believe that, because sometimes I'll feel like, oh, there's so much I need to know, and I'll get a piece of rutilated quartz that's got like one bar in it. And I'm thinking, no, I think there's probably more for me than that. But on the other hand, you know, when you feel like there isn't, there isn't much to know and you get a whole bunch of messages, that's nice too. This one would have, Fran has the red and the green. This one, this green in particular, is for transformation and healing. So this would have wisdom for you about maybe new patterns, new ways of eating, or new ways of taking care of your body, or habits that you have to kick in the new year in order to support your health and well-being. All of that information would come to you for that. So I'm setting this one aside because this is going into my intention box for the new year. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. Okay. And then Tibetan quartz has carbon in it, and it's incredibly healing. Almost all Tibetan quartz is naturally double terminated. This one, which was from the same lot as your kit, has a really nice phantom in it, really clear black phantom. That's true. Well, and Haley's got a good point. And also, sometimes, like this piece here, it's a huge bar, you know? So it's like, maybe it's like quantity or quality over quantity, right? It's like one really big message as opposed to 100 really small messages. You know what I mean? Like that's a big bar. So maybe that's a big shift for me, as opposed to like the little tiny, lines that you can barely see. So, okay. Tibetan quartz is one of the most healing forms of quartz you can work with. In fact, I tell the story all the time too, when I first got diagnosed with MS, I went to a friend of mine who works with crystals, and I said, what stones do you think I need to work with? And of course, the usual answers came up: right? Udilite, Sugilite, those are heavy-duty autoimmune, central nervous system. Hypersthane, Enstatite, which also balances the central nervous system. But the one that was really surprising to me was Tibetan quartz. And he said, before you get anything else, you need Tibetan quartz. So the inclusion in Tibetan quartz is carbon. That's what the black is. 90% of the time, it is carbon in there. So this is one to meditate with for healing, even though a lot of people don't realize that that's truly what Tibetan quartz is for. Part of what I love about Tibetan quartz is you think about the Himalayan mountains and how inaccessible they are for like 10 months out of the year. Truly, you can't get into the mountains. And there really is no easy way to climb the Himalayas. So these stones are brought back on horseback, on donkey back, down these very narrow paths, down these very steep hills. The elevation is extremely difficult. It's hard to breathe, and it's only uncovered, like it's only not covered in snow, like 1 month out of the year. Same, by the way, goes for the parts of Siberia and Russia where some of the other really healing stones come from, like Udilite, for example, or Charoite. They're just covered by snow for so much of the year. So part of the price, people say, like, why are these stones so expensive? Why is Tibetan quartz more expensive than regular quartz? Or why is Charoite so expensive? Or why is Udilite so expensive? And it's part of it is the accessibility. It's just very, very difficult. It's sort of like Larimar too. It's an underwater mine. So it's like how the accessibility of the stones is a question. That's right. That's exactly right, Nicole. Some people say, not me, but some people say the darker it is, the more healing it is. Like the more carbon yours has, the stronger the healing capacity of the stone. My favorite piece is at home, and it doesn't have a lot of carbon in it, but it's special. And I really do believe it's part of my, bag of tricks when it comes to healing autoimmune disease. Okay. So we've already gone into one of Buddha's stones. The other one is rose quartz, obviously stone of love. All of my rose quartz comes from Brazil, as does 90% of the rose quartz in the world come from Brazil. In the Buddha perfume, which I hope you loved because I flip and love it. And by the way, there's a couple things I would use your discount to get. One of them is Enlightenment perfume. If you didn't get that, you need to get Enlightenment perfume. It'll become one of your favorites. There's only 2 perfumes in my purse right now, and one of them is Enlightenment. And it's stunning. And it's a combination of Buddha, the Buddha perfume that I made, with other notes that I thought brought up that energy of enlightenment and completion. So it's gorgeous. You will love it. Yeah, Terry says, I've been looking for Udilite and can't find it. I'm actually bringing it back from Tucson. I made a custom order for Udilite because it's so hard to find. So if you've been waiting for Udilite, I'm bringing some back from Tucson with me. Okay, so in the Buddha perfume, we have dragon's blood for protection. We have myrrh. We have an oil called Dan al Oud, which is from the agar wood tree. Agar wood is really, really special. I use the essential oil very sparingly because it's extremely expensive, but it's thought to be one of the most sacred oils you can work with, way beyond, for example, sandalwood. There's sandalwood in terms of sacredness, and then here's agar wood or oud. It's a really deep smell. It's very masculine, so some people don't like oud or agar wood. Sometimes as soon as they smell it, they're like, oh, I don't know about that. I try to temper that so it doesn't like bite you, because oud really does have like a little bit of a bite to it. Some people say it smells like poop. I don't think it does. But I'm also somebody who really likes, I really, really like a masculine scent. Like I sometimes will use my husband's cologne, and then when we came up with Valhalla and Rex, do you remember Rex? Rex is still all time, next to Valhalla, probably my favorite of the men's perfumes. I love Rex. Which one are you? Oh, Melanie, are you asking about the oud? Let me see if I can, yeah. O-U-D or O-O-D? Let me type it here for you. O-O-D. And it's from the agar wood tree. You can do your homework on that. It's extremely rare and difficult to find, but I love it. So I just put the spelling in there for you. Okay. Oh my God, and vetiver. I'm about to release a vetiver perfume that's a combination of Middle Eastern vetiver and Indian vetiver, Rucus, and oh my God. Now again, some people don't like vetiver. I absolutely love it. And in fact, so a friend of mine who loves vetiver smelled my vetiver that I made, which is this combination of the two. And it's the Rucus is black, like it's completely black because I did first press Rucus, which is an Indian vetiver. And he smelled that on me. It was like, I don't know what that is, but I need that in my life every day. And then I had another friend who smelled it, was like, it just kind of depends on it. I'm like, really? To my other friend, I was like, you know, he likes it. And he was like, I don't know. I just think it just depends on what, you know, your nose and what you enjoy. Okay. The offerings, I think we've discussed. Oh, no. So Don Alud, which is agar wood, myrrh, and dragon's blood are the three main essential oils that are in the Buddha blend. Oh my God, Angie has an oud and absinthe candle. That sounds absolutely enchanting to me. I love that. It makes me wonder how you saw the absinthe perfume, right? That I think is incredible. I really did a good job with that one because that's just pure wormwood. But I wonder how my absinthe perfume would smell with my vetiver. I'm gonna have to mix that up and see what that's like, if it's pretty special. Yeah, I think so too. And here's the thing. I mean, a lot of these, to Haley's point, the point some of you have made, Cindy's asking what are myrrh and oud for. Do you think myrrh? You mean myrrh? So oud is agar wood, which is a meditation oil. It's like sandalwood, but it's like I said, it's like sandalwood's down here in terms of like sacredness, and oud is up here. So grounding, protection, meditation. Myrrh is for blessings. But the one thing I really wanted to tell you about. Yeah. The one thing I really want to tell you about agar wood before I forget is there was a time when only royalty had access to agar wood. Royalty of the countries where it grows. And so if you were not royalty or, you know, serious aristocracy, you did not have access to agar wood. And that's another reason why we think it's so special. And then when you get your absinthe, let me know what you think. I think it's pretty amazing. I was really proud of that. Okay. And then the offerings, I'm going to go quickly through the offerings because the herbs, I mean, so that I can talk to you about your intention box. But if you have questions, let me know, and then I will jump in there. I know so much for being a peaceful time, right? In the energy field, there's sirens every 2 seconds. I know. I think I told you my siren story, didn't I? Where my mom went to the hospital. This was like a year and a half ago. One of her many trips to the hospital, and I rode in the front seat in the ambulance, and people were not stopping for her ambulance, and how I like practically lost my mind. So when I hear sirens, I'm always like, that could be your mom out there. You need to stop for that. Agar wood, Southeast Asia and the Middle East, but very few locations where you can find agar wood trees. AGARWOOD. Yeah, pure agar wood is really special. I have it. I just haven't made it into a pure perfume. But you know, if you requested, I could anoint a stone for you or something in pure agar wood so that you could smell it. I'm going to show you a couple of other things too that you're probably going to want tonight. So I'll tell you can just mention them in your order and we'll get them off to you. Okay. So in Kuan Yin's herbal tin, we did black tea and rice, which is straight up black tea and straight up rice, but those are sacred offerings to Kuan Yin. And then we did lotus flower. So you can see the little, there's your lotus. That's a blue lotus flower. We put blue lotus and white lotus flowers in this little tin. You know, each of the tins has had kind of a different use or reason for being. This one is not really meant to be a tea, and it's not really meant to be an incense. This is more one that I would just keep in a little bowl. I mean, what I really recommend that you do, truly, especially you guys in sabbatical, you should have a healing altar if you don't already. And we're going to talk in 2017 about the Bagua map, and I'm going to teach you feng shui and how to orient your altars. We're really going to focus on it in January. So if you're going to be in sabbatical in January, you're going to learn all this stuff in a couple of weeks anyway. But you need to have a healing altar. And your Kuan Yin candle should be there. Any other healing candles that you want, you should have your healing stones. You could put your carved candle. I'm going to be working with my carved candle tonight when I do my intention box. And then you should have your green rutilated quartz, master healer perfume, like just some of the basics. And what I would recommend is get yourself one of those little beautiful gemstone bowls. You know, I have the onyx ones and fluorite ones, but you can find different ones if you want a different kind. And just pour your little offerings to Kuan Yin into that little bowl and keep it on her altar. Because offerings are really important, and we don't talk a lot about offerings, but we should. And if you think about other cultures, especially Asian cultures, they're very active with their offerings. Even when you go into Asian markets or different Asian businesses, you'll see a little kind of like makeshift altar. They usually have incense and a little piece of fresh fruit or some candy, because you know the gods and the ascended beings love the little sweets and things. But they're very good about tending those altars, and you should be too. I have a friend who has beautiful altars, and she even puts fresh flowers on her altar. Like every other day, she replaces these beautiful fresh flowers. No, Simon. That's so cute that you guys are getting together to work on your altars. I love that. Sorry. It's out of control tonight. It's nuts. Okay. What are you gonna do? Okay. Offerings. So what I was saying is my friend tends her altar. She puts fresh flowers out there like every other day or every 3 days. As soon as they start to wither and the water isn't good. And I asked her once why she did that, and she said, you know, flowers are life. They are life captured in a moment. And so everything on your altar is usually dead, you know. I mean, you think about your crystals vibrating and everything, but actual real like beating life, right? Like sort of plants and things like that represent the complete life cycle as well as the ability to bring life. And so she always has fresh flowers on her altar, which I love. So Mary, stay tuned. I'm going to plot all of that with you next month. I'm going to go through the whole Bhagwan map in Sabbatical just because we're short on time tonight. But I'm going to tell you exactly where in your home each one of your altars should go. And then you guys can decide, like, hey, you know what, I do want a healing altar, but I don't want a prosperity altar, or I do want a prosperity altar, but I don't want a family altar, because there's a part of the Bhagwan map that talks about family and relationships too. And so if you're trying to work on, you know, healing your family or improving your family relationships, you can actually set up a whole altar there too. There's a place in the Bhagwan map for fame. There's a place in the Bhagwan map for sex and intimacy. So we'll talk about all of that and where to situate them in your home next month. Okay. So, and then the offerings for Buddha, which you could combine them. Between the two of them, my favorite is the offerings to Buddha. Beautiful red sandalwood. Did you love that? And you could totally burn this one. You can put your red, because it's red sandalwood. It also has pine and saffron. And the saffron, let me see if I can find the saffron in my little tin. Saffron is the yellow, sort of looks like fur, fur almost. It usually drops to the bottom, so I don't want to spill this all over the place. But there are little shreds, little pieces of saffron in your dish. But you can totally burn it. Saffron is actually an herb that I cook with. I make beautiful rice with saffron, and it's absolutely delicious. That's sort of a Persian Greek delicacy, is to put saffron in your rice. So this you could totally burn as a beautiful incense. The other one I would recommend is putting in a little dish and putting out as an offering to Kuan Yin on your healing altar. Yeah, Melanie, go ahead, and I will. I'll do my best to come back to answer your question about your welcome kit. But I love that you guys are thinking about that, because I do think you need a little altar space by your front door to capture some of the energies as people come in. I actually have mine outside in there's a little courtyard area, and I have mine outside, but you can also keep it inside by your front door, wherever you have space to put your little mini altar. Okay, so let's switch gears now. I have 20 minutes to talk to you about intention boxes. Intention boxes. And by the way, I hope you're excited for tomorrow night. It's initiation for Sanctum. And then what's really hard to believe is, as of tomorrow night, our classes for the year, except for tarot, which goes live on Friday evening. I'm going to put it up on Friday instead of Saturday because everybody has a holiday. And then we are through the year, which is crazy. Isn't it crazy? Other stones, what else goes in there? Oh, entry altar. So what I have on mine, I have a beautiful little statue of Buddha. I have a shungite sphere, because spheres radiate energy in all directions. I have pink Himalayan salt, black tourmaline, smoky quartz, rose quartz, and I think that's it. I think that's it. My smoky quartz on my welcome altar is a Tibetan, a celestial. So it's just whichever piece that you're drawn to. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Stephanie's going to be here tomorrow. I am very excited about that. Very, very, very excited. what I've said is, because sisters have wanted to know if they're local, could they come in person? What I've said is I'd rather not, and I'll tell you why, because I don't want it to be disjointed for those of you who are live on the computer. So I would prefer that everybody be online for the initiation versus here locally, because I don't want to, it's such an intimate experience, and I don't want to be looking this way and then looking that way and have you not feel like it's coherent. Does that make sense? But when we dedicate your tools, so I have as a gift, he's making them right now. I don't want to show you because I don't want to give it away, but it's super magical. So I have had made for you as a gift for your initiation this incredible carved amulet. And when those come in January, I'm going to set up a listing. This is for Sanctum. And you'll check out, and there's no cost for, it's my gift to you, but you have to pay for shipping. That's all I ask. I made you a beautiful thing, but you have to pay to ship it to you. But you could add it onto an order, and it won't cost you. I mean, they're very lightweight. It's beautiful. And so when the tools come in, we're going to do a dedication of your tools. And that I actually would like, if there are any local sisters who could come in and do the dedication live. Does that make sense? Because that's a different thing. But the process tomorrow night is more of a ritual, and I would like it to be consistent. Yeah. You guys will be really excited, I think, when you see what I had made for you. It's made with a lot of intention. A lot of love and intention. And it's taken a lot of time because the guy's like, really? I mean, I'm kind of crazy when I'm designing something. I'm always like, well, what else could we do? Well, what can we add? Well, how can we make this different or more beautiful or more exciting? And can you weave in symbols from, I've been weaving symbols from, Mayan and Aztec culture, and symbols from Greek and Persian culture, and I think you're going to love it. I know. I had to do it. I wanted to celebrate you guys. I mean, no matter how long I teach, I'm never doing anything like Sanctum and Pop again. So I really wanted to commemorate how powerful it is that all of you who've done that program have completed. I mean, it's a huge thing. It's a huge accomplishment. I think it's my best teaching to date. I really do. Like, I think hopefully next year will be great, but I think I did some of my best work with that. So I want to honor you for doing it. And I want you to have this thing. It's really cool. I was thinking about it last night, actually, as I was falling asleep. I thought, how cool is this? Like, one day, these incredible women, we're all going to be old ladies, right? And you're going to have this thing, hopefully, on your desk or on your nightstand or something. And you're going to look over at that, and there's going to be a flood of memories and wisdom and information. And then what I was really thinking about last night as I was falling asleep is, who are they going to gift it to? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to receive this incredible amulet with this huge history that represents so much to you about your spiritual development? I think about that sometimes. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. It's been a blessing to be able to witness you guys go through it, truthfully. A blessing just to see you grow and mature and develop. It's really powerful. Okay, so let's talk about the box. With thanks and love to Kuan Yin for her blessings through this work. Aho. You're very blessed to be so guided. I finished the curriculum for the whole year, including all of the gods and goddesses for the full moons. And it's such a process. I was sitting there and asking permission of these incredible deities to be included in this year's course. And, one by one in my meditation, as they said yes. I'm in awe and honored to be able to do this work and feel like I'm supported by the energies as well. It's very beautiful. Okay, I'm going to light my carved candle. And now we're switching gears to talk about next year. Oh, Haley, I think you will, especially as you're, on your path and going to grow and evolve in so many ways. I think it'll be very beautiful for you to look back and be proud of yourself, for committing to your soul work, especially at such a young age. It's so beautiful. So no, you will. So you'll be able to, you can always finish the program and come back and do the initiation and then receive the amulet at the end. So this isn't the end of it. And I'm going to leave the Sanctum group in place. But you can only go through the initiation right now if you've done the current program. But if you do it next year, you can go back, you can watch the initiation, you'll receive your amulet, and you can do the whole thing. So it's not too late. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. That's right, Lisa, you and me both. Okay, so what the intention box is for 2017, it's more about the process than the product, which is why when you guys were like, oh, so, what's the supply list? And I kept saying, thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate that very much. It's more about the process than the product. Okay, so for me, it's more like it's a box with tools in it, but the process of gathering the tools and thinking with intention about what you want to create, that's the magic. There are certain things in the box I think you should have, so I'm going to take all mine out and show you how I've done what I've done. Okay, so this is the box I chose. There you go. Yeah, so Haley, Sanctum, I want to try and answer the questions while we're doing the box. Sanctum is continuing in January for one final month for the dedication of tools. And we're going to do a recap of the Pillars of Priestessing in January. So that is your January membership. And then at the end of January, all programs are being canceled. So your membership in whatever you're in, you don't have to do a thing. On the last day of January, all of your current programs will be canceled, and you'll have to register on February 1st for the new program, whatever you choose. So whether you do Sabbatical or you do the Gemwise or the aromatherapy class, whatever you choose, you'll have to register on February 1st. Okay, I chose this because I feel like it's show and tell. Like when you used to be in class, people say, "Well, I brought this for my show and tell because." Yeah, this is the altar in a box. That's exactly right. And I love it because of the size, but I also love it because of the pentacle or the pentagram. Because what does this represent? I don't see this necessarily. People say, oh, it's a sign of witchcraft or whatever, which is not a tradition that I align myself with for a lot of different reasons. But the reason I love it is that it represents the 4 directions plus spirit and the 4 elements plus source. And that really is what the star is. The star is, and also the star, by the way, if you think about Da Vinci, the star is a representation of you as a human being. And then within the circle, which is the field, it's your energy field. So this is your head, your arms, and your legs, the way Da Vinci drew us, sitting in the middle of this energy vortex, right? So that's why I love it so much. I want you to know I see the questions, but I'm kind of staying focused just for a minute. So, but you can, we'll have a couple minutes probably for questions at the end of our time together tonight. Okay, so before you put anything into your box, before, I like to say a prayer. So I lit my candle, I've smudged. I think what I will do is use a little bit of Elder Counsel. And then the perfumes I'm using from my box are Trust. This is Trust. Because that's one of my concepts for the year. And it's one of the concepts that's woven into the classes I'm teaching too, because I think people have to learn how to trust. People are anxious right now, and they're trying to exert control over their environment. But the reality is that's not possible. You can't exert control. By the way, Elder Counsel and Trust smells really good together. I just got distracted for a minute. So they try to exert control, but you can't exert control over a natural universe. It's not possible. You don't control anything. In fact, you really don't control anything. I think you know that, but anyway. So, but most people are trying to exert control. So one of the things I really want to reinforce in 2017 is letting the universe operate, trusting that there's an infinite intelligence, and it's much wiser than you. And it doesn't need you operating it. In fact, if you really want to create magic in your life, by the way, the last oil I used was Raise the Vibe, which I apparently can't show you, but it's Raise the Vibe perfume. If you really want to create magic in your life, the #1 thing you have to do is get out of the way. Stop trying to make things happen. Stop trying to change people. Stop trying to force situations. Stop trying to ask people to change. Focus on you, set your intentions, and then step to the side and let the universe push through. There is such a force. I say this as a Star Wars fanatic, but there is such a force of energy in the universe, and half the time you're standing right in the way of it. So it's trying to bring things to you. It's trying to heal things in you. It's trying to transform things in you. And where are you? You're right in the middle of the road going, how come I don't feel anything? The universe is like, because you're standing in the middle of it. So anyway, part of my work for next year is trying to get people to surrender. You're not in control anyway. Whenever I see people like in Facebook and stuff trying to exert control, the first thing I think is, wow, I feel really sorry for them. A, they're not enjoying their life at all. And B, they think they have control. You don't have control. By the way, would you want control? I'd rather not. I'd rather trust that the universe is infinitely wise and that I'm held by a force that supports me in my growth, and then just kind of rest into that and surrender a little bit. Okay. So before you put anything in, what I like to do is take a sage leaf, light it. You're going to think this is silly, but it's really what I do. Blow it out, sit it inside the box, close the box. You're smudging out your box. And this is how you guarantee that the smoke gets into all the little nooks and crannies. That box is smudged. Isn't that cool? Guarantees you that there is no unwanted energy in that box in any way. Okay. And then the first thing I like to put, for me personally, and I should say this, for 2017, my intention is magic. My intention is to experience more of it, facilitate more of it, observe more of it, trust more of it. So magic is really my intention for 2017. And my definition of magic is the manipulation of energies that are already in the field for a specific outcome or purpose. So rather than focusing on my specific intentions or the specific outcomes, I'm actually diverting all of my energy and my focus for 2017 to the process, not the product. Because what I've realized is if you set up a good process, the rest will come. But if you don't have a good process and you're only focused on the outcome, you know, whatever that is, like, let's say your outcome was, I really want to find a new house. Okay, but what's your process for getting there? The house is the outcome. The house isn't the process. And so what's your process going to be? And I don't know what your process will be for your outcomes, but I really want you to start thinking that way. I think it's like, you know, there's different orders of thinking, like first order, second order, third order, like higher order. First order is kind of like unsophisticated. And I almost think it's unsophisticated to just say, I'm going to focus on my intention, which is happiness. Okay, but that's first order. How are you going to, what's the process by which you're going to achieve happiness? What does that look like? Just curious about that. Okay. Yeah, so Erin, you can put anything in your box that you want. That's really, really, really up to you. The only protective piece of anything that I'm putting into mine is my tiger's eye, which I have right here, which is my totem stone. So I think you should put a piece in that represents you. And for me, tiger's eye represents me, and so it sort of covers all those bases. Okay, the first thing I always put in is selenite into my intention or my sacred boxes, whatever it is, because selenite clears anything. It also brings happiness and it brings peace, and it tends to fit really nicely in a box. Like that one fits nicely. It's not laying flat, but it's okay. It's less about how it looks on the inside and more about the, you know, what the contents are. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to put in is a double terminated quartz point, because what this does, this is a little transmitter. This is sending and receiving energy, and it creates a loop. Every time you have a double terminated anything, it's creating a loop of energy. Energy is going in, energy is coming out, it's coming back. Energy in, energy out, coming back. And so anytime you are creating something with intention, you want to envelop it in an energy field of its own, like the tube torus. And if you don't know what that is, we're going to talk about it next year. So I'm going to put my double terminated quartz point in like that. And each item I'm putting in, I'm just setting an intention that it's going to hold that space. So selenite, I'm setting the intention it's going to hold that space of clearing and happiness. The double terminated quartz, setting the intention it's going to hold that space of creating that energy vortex so there's a swirl of energy happening, even when I'm not touching this. That's what's really, really, really important. Pushina's asking how large the box is. I would say 4 by 6. Some of you guys have this one. It's like the size of a nice big tarot deck. So I would say 4 by 6 inches. Yes, any type, but I do like a double terminated. So, but any type of double terminated is okay. I'm also putting, I'm putting a couple different kinds of quartz, so I want to show you that. I am putting a citrine generator into mine to raise energies of prosperity, as well as power. Because power is one of the areas of focus for my teaching next year. And so to be able to harness power, that's activating the solar plexus. The number one crystal, really, in so many ways for manifestation is yellow apatite. I think you know that. But I always have this piece with me whenever I'm setting intentions or trying to create something new. So yellow apatite. It's not the prettiest piece I've ever seen, but it's sacred to me. It's been with me on a long road. So yellow apatite's going into the intention box. I'm going to put a piece of salt just to purify, keep the energy pure, keep my intentions pure. I'm putting tiger's eye in to represent me, myself, and my own energy. I chose this piece of chrysocolla from my collection. Again, it's not anything super fancy, but I really want to. One of the things I'm working on next year is channeling more of the divine feminine, which may sound funny to hear me say that, but I'm actually kind of a masculine person. Like, I'm strong. I'm kind of the matriarch in my family. My dad considers me to be his oldest son because he didn't have a son. And so I've lived my whole life really having to inhabit this place of like strength and supporting my family and holding everybody up. I'm sort of the matriarch. So part of it is I want to get back to being able to do all the things I do to support people, but in a more fluid way. You know, instead of having to be so strong all the time, I want to learn how to hold that space without being so masculine about it. Does that make sense? I don't know if that resonates with any of you, but so I'm putting my chrysocolla in to represent, and I chose natural rather than tumbled because the natural stones have more potency to them. Like, if you're really working with a stone for a specific outcome, you usually want the natural form because you want to keep it as close to its form as possible. I see a question about, I'm trying to follow the feed, but anyway, if you have questions, let me know. And yeah, and the alternative box does come with a selenite wand, so that'll cover that base for you. Okay. Then the next stone I'm putting in is kunzite. A little pink piece of kunzite, because one of the things I'm working on next year is, you know, in my family, there are people who don't get along, and probably in your family too. And I have just set an intention that everybody finds peace in their relationships, because none of the conflicts are really about me, but I witness them a lot, and it's stressful for people. So I'm setting an intention for family peace next year. I'm putting in this scepter because I really do believe that the scepters were the tools of the priests and priestesses in ancient Lemuria, and I love them so much. And so I'm putting this in to represent my own sovereignty, my own power, and tapping into my own power in many ways. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bottle of alchemy perfume, because whenever I'm trying to transform situations or energies in my life, I always use alchemy. Alchemy blends really beautifully, by the way, with elder council. It's sort of like the energies are so similar, and the notes are very resonant. So I'm putting that in there. I'm going to put a single white sage leaf unused to represent clearing of energy and removing of any energy that's stuck in the space. And then let me see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, actually I wanted to put in my zincite. I'm putting in a piece of zincite for manifestation. That's important too. Okay, I think that is everything I wanted to put in. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let's see if I have my wand. Yes, I do. These are the things that I wouldn't be able to describe this to you, but I'm going to show it to you. So a lot of you have asked, how do you work with crystal skulls? This is one of the ways I work with crystal skulls. Are you ready? Now, alchemy and alchemist are different perfumes, Aaron. So this is alchemy that I'm working with, not alchemist. Yeah, absolutely. Haley, rutilated quartz with alchemy would be the perfect combination, actually, for transformation. Okay, so a lot of you have asked me, how do I work with a crystal skull? Are you ready? So when you're doing very specific magic, you can attach or connect the energy of your skull to the energy of your box, in this case, or any other work that you want to do. I believe that each crystal skull comes with its own energy, its own entity in a way. I don't want to, not in a scary way, but I think each skull has its own unique energy field, and it usually comes for me with some kind of either ancestral voice or some kind of guide attached to it, and they're always the same, and I've never had them change. So, but I only have probably, you know, I don't know how many skulls I have in my collection, but each one has that kind of energy to it. So what I like to do is pick a skull. I picked an amethyst skull for tonight. I don't know if you can see, but he's beautiful. Pick a skull that aligns with the energy of what you're focusing on, which for me, it's trust and surrender and magic, right? Which is very in line with this. And then what I do is I take my wand, touch it to the skull, and imagine downloading the information that that skull has, just pulling all of the energy of that being or whatever it is that's attached to the skull, pulling all that energy into the wand. I'm doing this with my right hand, by the way. And then sending all of that energy into the box. Because I'm receiving from him, that's why I did it with my right hand. Now you could change your hands. You could choose to receive from him with your right hand and then send with your left hand into the box. And just connecting, attaching the energies of this particular skull and his wisdom to this set of tools, asking that he bless them. I'll probably keep him close by with the tools as well. So just connecting those two energy fields. Okay. And then sit for a second. How do you feel? Do you feel like you have what you need with your tools, with the energy of the skull, anything else you want to connect? Let's say there's other things you want to connect to it, but you don't want to put them in there. Okay. And so that's exactly right, what you could do with a Vogel. So let's say I've got my little rose quartz flame here that I love so much, right? Which cracked and made me really sad, but I still love it. So let's say I wanted to attach the energy of my rose quartz flame, bringing in love, and then connecting that to the tools that are in the box. Anything else that you'd want to, I mean, maybe you want to use your Connect Palo Santo without putting it in. So calling in all the healing energies of the Palo Santo. Remember, everything has a frequency, and quartz is a conductor. So what I'm doing when I touch anything, when I touch this dodecahedron, this has a frequency. This is a conductor. So I'm connecting the frequencies, and then you can pull that energy in. And again, your box has a frequency, attaching, connecting that, the frequency of that dodecahedron to the box. And no, I would say the skull size does not matter. It's more about the energy. This isn't the biggest skull in my collection, but it's the one that said, I'll go do this for you. So I took him up on his offer. What else am I feeling? I think that's it. Okay. Once your box is full and you feel like the intention has been set, you get your candle lit, you've anointed with your perfumes. You can take a little bit more of the perfumes actually, and like you can touch the four corners. So you could take a little bit of the roller on your finger and touch the four corners to anoint your box. You could open it and do the same thing on the inside. Again, just touching the four corners. There's extra steps if you really want to seal in the energy and the vibration. And then I like to say a little prayer. So I'm so grateful to connect on this night, on the eve of the new moon, with my most beloved sisters as we gather under this dark sky, setting in sacred intentions for 2017. So thankful for this time, thankful for this new beginning, thankful for the chance to be mindful and really gather my thoughts and have them gather their thoughts about what we want to experience in the year ahead. This year ahead is this big blank slate, but we really need to be mindful of what we place there. And for so many sisters in the group, myself included, this has been a very challenging year. And so really thinking about the year ahead, almost like a table that we want to set. You know, it's like, what kind of meal do you want to create for the year ahead? Do you want to have more ease in your life? Do you want to have more support in your life? Do you want to have more joy in your life? And then it doesn't just have to be magical tools that go in here too. It could be maybe, you know, maybe your daughter's like mine and gifts you little rings or little flowers or whatever. Maybe your son gifts you little things. Maybe somebody got you something for the holidays that's really special. Maybe there's flowers growing in your garden right now that you love, or dried flowers that you saved from the season before. Maybe there's something from your mother or your grandmother that's really sacred to you, or something from your wedding. Think holistically. Like, I'm trying to inspire you to think what's around you that you love that could go into this box and hold the space. And remember, right now, when you set an intention, let's say you say, I want more joy. You want to have things in that box that reflect joy to you, so that every time you open it, it's like, oh, you know, I forgot how much I love all these things. And seeing all the things together should make you happy. Like, it should make your heart beat a little bit faster. So, okay. So I'm so thankful for this time with my sisters. I'm thankful for this space to think and be clear, and to to set these intentions, to visualize the year ahead, to call in the many blessings, both for me and for them. I ask that every single woman in this group be blessed with her intentions coming to fruition in perfect time. We recognize that Sabbatical is this beautiful container of manifestation, and that when we tap into it, when we plug into it, we rely on each other and we raise that energy together, really nothing is impossible. So honoring that truth, honoring the intelligence of the universe, asking for your support, guides, ancestors who surround me, surround us, ascended masters, God, our creator, come closer to us and guide our hand as we choose the intentions for the year ahead. When we ask for your blessings, we ask for your support, and we give thanks for all that you offer to us every day. Amen, aho, so it is. Amen, aho, so it is. Whew. Just close my eyes for that second there, but that was a very powerful little prayer we just said together. You can really feel the energy of that. Okay, and then this is just, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it. I want you to choose some runes for the year ahead. We're going to be working with runes more and more and more. And so I'm choosing to work with Fehu, which is about prosperity, but also energy, raising solid energy. I'm working with Gebo, which is the gift, which invites the universe to bring a gift into your life. Gebo is the X. I'm also working with Laguz, which is the flow, like getting into that divine feminine and really inviting more flow into my life. And I'm working with Sawillo, which is good fortune and the energy of the sun. Think of it almost like the tarot card, the sun. So I'm going to draw my runes that I'm working with at the top of my page, and I'll show you what that looks like. So these are my 4 runes. And then I'm just going to write a very simple intention. My intention for 2017 is and I'm just saying to experience, enjoy, and facilitate magic in the world. Because I'm focusing on process, not product. Magic in the world. Okay. Very simple, just runes, my little intention. And then you can choose how you seal this. You can write, "It is done." "It is done" is a beautiful affirmation. It just says this is complete and you have set the energy in motion. So it is done. You can say, "Aho, so it is." And then I like to also sign my name, because your name, or you can do your sigil. Remember that your sigil is a symbol that contains all elements of your name. So this is one sigil of my name right here that contains all of the letters in my name. So you can sign it or do your sigil. And I like to fold this, but I like to fold my paper 4 times. So I like to fold it up once. This is calling in the energy of the directions. To the side once, that's folding it twice. Folding it 3 times. And then a 4th. And then putting that into the box. Okay, and then the last thing, and by the way, if you want this, so this is the Sage Goddess Rune Blessing Guide. If you place an order and say Rune Blessing Guide in your notes, I'll print this out and send it to you. It's like a fun little cheat sheet. If you don't have it already, some of you have this already, but if you don't have it and you want it, just say Rune Blessing Guide in your comments and I'll send it to you. That's my gift, because you should have it. We're going to be working more and more and more with runes this year, so I really want you to start to learn what the runes are and what the meanings are. And it's very easy. Like once you start working with them, they'll show themselves to you. Okay, and then the last step is, and I like to touch my box while I'm reading my dedication prayer. So, are you ready? Have you guys done this too? Is anybody dedicating with me, or are you watching? I think I advise that you watch, but some of you may have done it alongside me tonight. Okay, these tools are my offerings, my ways into the sacred circle. These tools are my guides, my escorts into the sacred. Great Spirit and Mother Earth, I thank you for bringing them to me. I thank you for showing them to me and for the blessing of being their keeper. May they hold the energy, stir the field, keep the wisdom, and show me their stories. Help them to strengthen me in times of fear, reassure me in times of the unknown, nurture me in times of great joy, and always remind me of my intention for the year ahead. When the time comes, I will surrender these tools back to you into the arms of another keeper as you designate, or onto another great journey. For now, I am their keeper, and they are mine. I honor their journey and mine, the entwined path. No other shall touch these tools for as long as they serve me. In your presence, I dedicate and consecrate them and this vessel to my work in the year ahead. I dedicate them to the mysteries and the great secrets they keep, and to which I shall bear witness. And so we say, Aho, Amen, and so it shall be. Aho, Amen, so it shall be. Okay. With that, you have an intention box for the year ahead. Now let's talk about embellishment, because that is the kind of bare bones process of it. Now you could do so many other things. You could make things to go in here. You could decorate your own box. You know, if you're one of those kind of people who likes to take the paper and decoupage and put rhinestones and do all that, I mean, you could make this box its own work of art. And I'm sure some of you probably will. So if you do that, I'd like to see what that looks like, because it's going to be pretty amazing. Thank you, Colin, for that. I really appreciate it. So it shall be. What else was I going to tell you? You could, there's so many things you could do. If you're using a wooden box, like you really want to talk about next level, you could actually burn the runes for your intention into the sides of the box. Can you imagine that? They even sell those wood burning tools at Michael's and Joann's Nails. I mean, you could go and get one of those and just burn your runes. I'm actually thinking about that, because I think that would be really cool, wouldn't it? Because the runes are so powerful. I mean, one of the reasons I wear this bangle every day that has all the runes, because the Norse believe that if you had all the runes anywhere together on you, you were protected, not just physically, but your health and everything else. We just finished rune flash tattoos for Sage Goddess, because we have a whole another batch, I think 12 new designs, I think, including crystal flash tattoos. You're gonna lose your mind. But we actually did, I requested a circle of runes to put on my shoulder. And so we have these circles of runes coming as flash tattoos as well. Because if you can't have that permanently on your body, which is what the Norse would recommend, then at least you can have a little flash tattoo. It'll keep you safe when you wear one. I love that. I love that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was like sort of a quick review of all the things. Tomorrow night we have initiation starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Don't be late. I will be right on time with you. Very much looking forward to that. Did you guys enjoy? I'm so glad. I know. Oh, the flash tattoos. Well, I went, our graphic designer makes them, and I went to her and I'm like, I really want crystals, like all over. So we went a little nuts with that. That's right. Okay. So don't forget code cheer if there's anything you want for your box or anything else. If you want the rune blessing, just say rune blessing in your notes. I'm going to let everybody know that means that you receive one of the printed guides, because you should have that. You should have that for your Book of Shadows or wherever you keep all your notes. You should have one of those printed rune guides in there. So I want to make sure you get that. Yes, I know how that goes. Oh, thanks, you guys. Yes, I'm going to go see her now. So love and blessings to you. I'll see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. You don't need anything for tomorrow. Tomorrow is more me raising energy with you and honoring the work that you have done. And I have a fun little kind of recap of our year to go through with you. So it's just going to be more, it's a celebration tomorrow, but there is a ritual for your initiation. So I look forward to sharing that time with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful night. I'll see you tomorrow.